What's up, everyone? I'll be reviewing all 9 Fast and Furious movies in build-up to F9 later this month. So that means today it's going to be Too Fast, Too Furious. Real quick, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and tell me down below what you think of Too Fast, Too Furious in the comments. And this is going to be a spoiler review. I'm not going to be talking too hard spoilers, but I will be talking spoilers for the movie. Anyway, so let's get into it. So this sequel follows up the original by following only Paul Walker in this movie as the only returning character, and this time he's in Miami instead of Los Angeles, and he gets involved in like the street racing scene as you expect from a movie like this. And so essentially he's street racing, he gets caught, and then he has to do a job for the FBI. He has to like catch someone or something like that. So he ends up working with Roman Pierce, who's once again, a returning character in the franchise. He's in plenty of them. So he ends up working with him for the FBI, and essentially they have to try to catch this, help the FBI catch this dude. So for the most part, when looking at this movie, I think it's a significant step down from the original Fast and the Furious. The first mistake in this movie, and hear me out, is going to be Paul Walker in the lead role. Now, I do love Paul Walker, and I love him playing Brian in the franchise. I just don't think he really works by himself, and while he does have Roman Pierce with him, and he'll also have like the addition of Ludacris in this movie as he's playing the other guy, I don't remember his name, but he's another returning character throughout the franchise. It is nice to see, he does have some help. I just don't think he really works by himself as Brian. I think there's a number of issues there, and particularly I just think his character's a little bland. And that's not his fault. I just think he needs some cast to help him out. In this movie, I don't think the other cast is present enough to really, help him along the way and keep his character fresh. I think he really needs to bounce off people to make his character good. Like in the first one, I really like his character in the first one. But here, he really is the central character in this movie. I really don't think it works in this one. And along those same lines, this movie has a lot of like bro talk, like saying like, "Oh, dude," and "bro," and like, "I got you, bro," stuff like that. And it's really irritating, and because there's a lot of it. And it's almost like unbearable at a point. And once again, I don't think Paul Walker delivers it well, and I just think he's kind of a little out of place in this movie. I think as for me, his character just doesn't fit in this movie. Once again, I love Paul Walker. I love him as Brian in the franchise, but I just really don't think he works in this movie playing the character he's playing. I don't think, because he doesn't feel like Brian in this movie. I don't know. He feels off to me, unfortunately. And once again, I think the script does play a role in that, but overall, I'm not crazy about his character in this movie, and like I said, that bro talk in there is it's a little unbearable and a little annoying. While this movie does have a lot of issues, such as like CGI, like even like the racing scenes, the scenes just don't look super good when it's CGI. This movie's a little over the top at moments, which I'll get to later on. But the biggest issue with this movie, I think, is the plot, as it's really just forgettable and bland. Earlier, I had a hard time recalling the plot because it's just like, I don't even remember what happened. I don't remember the villain's name. I barely remember what he looks like. It's just like, really, the plot is very meaningless in this movie. Never once do I really find myself interested or intrigued in what's going on. You're kind of just going along for the ride while you're watching dudes drive fast cars, and that's really the movie for you. You're not invested in the plot at all. You don't care what's happening, and that's really unfortunate for this movie. For the first one, where I think the first one really does have a strong plot, and this one is a significant step down in that regard, unfortunately. And really, the bland plot just makes this movie drag a little, and it's definitely one of the most boring movies in the franchise, for a franchise that is about being very entertaining. At least these movies are entertaining. This one is definitely the most boring in the franchise. So while this movie does have an abundance of issues, and it's pretty much worse than the Fast and the Furious in every single way, pretty much. With all that said, I do think this movie is still a good time. The racing is a lot of fun in this movie, and there's a lot of racing in this movie, and I really like the street racing scenes. I'm really glad that this movie really focuses on that, and I think the street racing scenes really do their job, and they're super entertaining. The chase scenes in this movie as well are really nice, and if you like this franchise for the fast cars and the intense racing scenes and the intense chase scenes and the action, I think you'll like this movie a good amount. It's not, obviously the plot doesn't help it out, but I think the action in here and the car action in this movie delivers enough to be enjoyable. I enjoyed the ending chase scene in general, but when they go to the garage and all these cars come out, I think that was a pretty cool, neat concept. It's a bit ridiculous, yes, but I think it's fun, and I thought the final act of the movie was definitely the strongest act of this movie, as it's really not as much plot centered, as it's more kind of car-centered chase scenes and action and everything. So I think that's the strength of this movie, and the final act very centered around that. The dive off the bridge onto the boat's a little a little stupid, kind of like a nice cherry on top for this movie just being this movie just being absolutely ridiculous. But nonetheless, I do enjoy the final act. But while this movie is pretty much worse than the first one in every regard, I do think it is very strong in the fact that it's just very much mindless entertainment. And this one is very much mindless entertainment because, once again, there's just not much to the plot. You're really like, you're not following the plot when you're watching this movie. You're not. That's just how it is. And so you're just watching, guys talk like bro talk type stuff with big fast nice looking cars, and driving fast, and chase scenes and racing scenes and that kind of stuff. That's really what this movie is, and if you're into that, you'll enjoy this movie. I mean, there's a lot of that, but the plot is not very bland compared to the rest of the movie. But this is just the kind of movie that you can put on and have fun, and you don't really have to worry about thinking too much, because once again, you don't really have to think too much at all. So in that regard, I think this movie's a success, though once again, it's very mindless. I can't stress that enough. It's just really not a movie you have to think about. You don't really care what's going on. You're really just watching the characters do things. So that's definitely hurts the movie, I think. But for the most part, I think this movie works as just the kind of guilty pleasure, mindless movie. Though once again, it's definitely one of the weaker movies in the franchise. Obviously, we'll be discussing that more as I review the next few. But and it definitely suffers from the fact that we don't have Vin Diesel, we don't have Michelle Rodriguez, and we don't have the rest of the normal cast of the franchise. While it does introduce a number of cool characters such as Tej and Roman Pierce, I just don't think the cast is strong enough here to really hold the movie. And this movie does lack a lot of character development, gives character arcs like the first one has. Once again, that goes along with the plot, but there's not a lot of character development. The first one of the best things that movie does is the characterization of the characters we're following. This movie doesn't have that pretty much at all. You kind of develop the relationship between Roman and Brian a little bit, but it's not nearly as strong as the relationship between Dom and Brian in the first one. So while this movie fails on a kind of critical plot scale, I think it works on an entertainment scale for the most part, and really as a Fast and Furious movie, I think it works as just being a mindless entertainment kind of movie with, cars and chase scenes and action scenes and that kind of stuff. So I'm very kind of mixed on this movie. It's really a hard movie to grade because, once again, it's plot is down here, entertainment is up here a little, so it's kind of a hard movie to grade. So I'm going to give it a 73% and 3 out of 5 stars. That might seem a little high, but I don't know, I had a good time with it. But anyways, that's going to do it for my review of Too Fast, Too Furious. Once again, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and comment down below, tell me what you think of Too Fast, Too Furious. It's definitely one of the more controversial movies in the franchise. It's commonly referred to as one of the worst ones. And stay tuned for my next review of this franchise, where it's going to be Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. I actually watched that one a couple nights ago. I'm super excited to review that one. I think that's probably the most interesting movie in the franchise, and I have a lot to say about it, so I'm super excited to review that one. Anyways, that's going to do it for the video. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.